Kaylin's eyes watered as she stood at the edge of the forest, peering into the dense foliage beyond the rusting fence. The trees seemed to lean in, their branches tangling above her like skeletal fingers. She shivered, despite the thick coat and gloves that should have protected her from the chill. It was almost winter, but Kaylin's work schedule at the local maintenance company had been erratic for months, sometimes 3 days of overtime followed by a week off. Today was supposed to be a routine inspection of the forest preserve's fence, but as she gazed deeper into the woods, Kaylin felt an unsettling sense of disconnection from her surroundings. The silence was almost palpable, punctuated only by the creaking of branches and distant rustling that might have been leaves or small animals scurrying through the underbrush. She took a deep breath, inhaling the damp earthy scent that usually filled her with a sense of calm. Today, it felt oppressive. As she made her way along the fence line, Kaylin noticed something peculiar, small sections where the wire mesh had been reweaved into an irregular pattern. At first, she thought it might be a sign of recent repairs, but there was no evidence of work having taken place here recently. The cuts were clean and precise, almost surgical. She stopped at one particularly convoluted section, feeling a shiver run down her spine as she realized that the reweaving seemed purposeful. Whoever had done this knew exactly what they were doing. It wasn't just some haphazard attempt to reinforce the fence. Kaylin's eyes narrowed, trying to piece together why anyone would go to such trouble. And then, a faint memory surfaced in her mind, a conversation she'd overheard between two of her co-workers several weeks ago, discussing a project that required absolute secrecy and precision. They'd used words like protocol and procedure, but it had sounded so mundane at the time. Now, as Kaylin stood amidst the eerie forest silence, the reweaved fence section seemed to whisper warnings of something far more sinister lurking beneath her usual reality. She hesitated for a moment before reaching into her pocket for her phone, only to realize that she'd misplaced it somewhere during her inspection. Panic began to creep in as Kaylin tried to recall the last time she remembered having her phone, but her memory seemed distorted. As the sun dipped below the treetops, casting long shadows across the forest floor, Kaylin felt an unsettling sense of being watched, not by anything overtly menacing, but by a creeping awareness that something had been subtly rearranging its presence around her. She tried to shake off the feeling and focus on finding her missing phone, but with each step through the trees, the forest seemed to close in further. For the first time in months, Kaylin felt a desperate need for answers, but she wasn't sure where to begin looking.